Welcome back to In Her Words, Working Conversations by Women. I'm your host, Thando Mazibuko, and in this conversation, we dive into a really exciting guest. Dr. Hume Johnson is a professor, a coach of leadership, and also a personal brand strategist. We're talking about owning your value, building your brand, and leading with confidence today. No matter where your journey is, and no matter where you are. So let's go and hit into it. Hi, Dr. Hume. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, Thando. It is so nice to talk to you. I'm so in love with South Africa. I love everything South Africa, and maybe I should move to South Africa.
Come over.
And so I'm always very excited to talk to Africans in general and to South Africans in particular. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. And South Africans love Jamaicans. We love Jamaicans. We thought we're Jamaican cousins.
Oh, yes, you definitely are. The feeling is mutual. I can guarantee it.
I love that it is. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself and from where you started and now being a professor and a leadership coach?
You know, when I talk about myself, I like to follow my own advice because I tell my clients to, when people ask you about yourself, talk about yourself, who you are, not what you do. And so I will always begin with my name. My name is Hume. My mother was trying to destroy my self-esteem. So she's giving me Hume. But, you know, I am a very confident person. I wasn't always confident, but I'm so glad I found my voice. And now I use it to help other people to find theirs. I also believe in personal growth and I believe in resilience. We're never done. We're never done. When you're dead, you're done because we don't know what's on the other side. So I believe in always growing, always building out your skills, your human skills, as well as your job specific skills, and adding value in whatever space you're in. Even if you're self-employed and you work at home, you're adding so much value. And I want people to remember that their value is not limited to a professional space. Your value is you are your value. So your value is wherever you show up. And so I lead my entire life personally and professionally believing in growth, believing in personal leadership, because I believe we lead ourselves first, and being kind and compassionate and always helping to build other people up. In terms of my profession, I started my early career in journalism. I was a broadcast journalist with Jamaica's Information Service, which is the news arm of the government of Jamaica. And then I worked in commercial radio with Radio Jamaica and an entertainment channel called Fame FM. We had so many road parties and island parties where we would visit other parts of the Caribbean just to have fun. But I was a sober news reader. I tried to have fun as well, but I was a news reader. And later on, when you're in journalism, especially when you're working with a government's news agency, you encounter a lot of politicians. And so it was a nice segue when I got the opportunity to be a political speechwriter. I jumped on that because I was always interested in the political sphere and always in being a political reporter originally. And so I kind of segued into political communication. And so I really followed up on that and became, I did my PhD in politics. I thought it was just a natural progression. But throughout all of that time, when I was working within those arenas of journalism, media, politics, I was also a publicist for one of the reggae entertainers in Jamaica. I'm not sure you're familiar with Tony Rebel. Maybe a lot of South Africans would be. And I was working, trying to raise their profile. We weren't calling it building their brand at the time because it wasn't the buzzword of the moment. But artists understand, and politicians as well, that they need favorable image of themselves. They need a favorable reputation for people to vote for them or for people to buy or records, be interested in your music and stuff like that. I didn't think I needed a personal brand. I didn't think I needed a brand. I thought, wow, I'm on TV, everybody knows my name anyway. I don't need a brand. They need a brand. They're the ones selling music. They're the ones trying to get people to vote for them. But it's only after I did my PhD that I realized that I actually needed to figure out my own value as well.
I love that your journey went from journalism and politics and as well as entertainment, which seemingly it's two different things, but
yes,
not. But when you think about it, as you said, politicians need a brand, and as well as musicians need a brand. Why is it important to have a personal brand, do you think?
You know what? Let's talk about what a personal brand is, because a lot of the gurus all over the internet giving bad advice, and as a result, there's so much confusion about what a personal brand is and why it matters to your career. First of all, the biggest mistake that professionals make is to think of their brand as their social media. Oh my God. And the advice is that all you need to do is to get some kind of website going, get online, start posting content, and then you will have a strong brand. Well, for me, that's like putting on the roof of a house first. Mm-hmm. And the roof may be pretty, but obviously that's not sustainable because there's no foundation. So where I come in is looking at the foundation. What is your real brand? If social media were to go away tomorrow, I remember my college students, one of them said she cried when they announced that TikTok was going away. This is how attached people are to social media and to the attention. I read somewhere where attention is the gluttony of our age, where people, their own life and their own value, they're equating their value based on how many likes they get and how many following they have. But if all of this were to go away, Thando, mm-hmm. what would your brand be? Who would you be? Mm-hmm. What would you say about yourself? And that's where I start with the self. Who are you at core? What are your human skills? What are the personality traits that serve you on a day-to-day basis as a strength? Are you empathetic? Are you a great leader? Are you kind? Are you reliable? Are you punctual? That's where I begin, and then we move into, okay, let's say you're an empathetic person. That's going to show up in how you work. If you're not a punctual person, that's going to show up at work as well. And so for me, I always begin with who you are at your core, because that you, everywhere you go, that is the you that shows up. So when we get to talking to people and I say, tell me about yourself, they start telling me what they do. That's just what you do. That's not who you are. I'm interested in who you are because it is that you that will show up in whether you're going to commit to this job, whether you have the aptitude for it. Are you going to give up when the first trouble comes or the first obstacle? Are you going to fold? Can you get along harmoniously with the members of the team? If there's conflict, how are you going to navigate that conflict? Then we can talk about your specific skills, your job specific skills, why we should hire you, what do you bring to the table that another candidate doesn't bring to the table. And if 10 people have the same degree, because people love to talk about their degrees and how much this and credential they have, but if 10 people show up with the same degree, the same experience, who are you going to pick? And most employers are going to pick the person who they feel like, oh, this person will fit. I hate the word fit, but this is a person who will get along with the team. This is a person who can add some extra value to the team. So that's the foundation of your personal brand. The social media bit is the part where we are conveying your brand. So I think what people have been doing is doing personal branding. And remember that social media is just one communicative tool that you can use to convey your brand. There are so many other means by which, because think before 2000, we didn't have social media. How were people conveying their brand at that time? Einstein, people who lived 50 or 100 years ago, who we still talk about, how did they build their brand outside of social media, outside of these frames? And not everybody needs social media, because if I'm working with a physician and the physician's job is to interpret this image for the doctor in the surgery, do they need, I mean, obviously they can put out some content to show some, information on what they do for a living, but their real brand performance should be with that doctor in that room. That's their core audience. So I'm sorry to kind of make that very long, but I think I needed to explain the root of how I approach branding.
No, that was a perfect explanation, because we do jump into social media first and we put ourselves out there, but not communicating clearly. And I'm just thinking, when you asked me that question, who I am, and I told you what I do.
Don't feel bad. Everybody does that. That's what I used to do. I used to do that before I learned what my brand is, and I had a whole crisis of identity. Because I was a recognized journalist in Jamaica. I was a recognized political player. People knew who I was. If you wanted training on this, if you wanted a speech on that, call Hume Johnson. This is the person to go. So that's why I didn't feel like I needed a brand. But when I left and resigned from my position to take a scholarship in New Zealand to do my PhD, now I was a student. And so when I was finished with my PhD, I thought, oh my goodness, now I was in crisis. Who am I? What am I going to do next? What is my brand? And that's how personal branding literally rescued me, because I had to come back to the drawing table. I had to figure out, okay, do I go back into journalism? Do I take a job teaching politics? Or do I work for the United Nations, as a friend of mine was trying to convince me to do? What do I do? And I had to find a direction that coalesced with my core values, with who I am as a person, with how do I see myself in 5 years, 10 years? Who are the people do I want to serve? What are the problems do I want to solve? And that's how I started to figure this personal branding thing out, that I also need to clarify all of that and then make my decision on the basis of that. So if I had my life to do over, I would do my personal brand first before doing a degree. I wouldn't do a degree and then try to figure out what the heck am I going to do with this qualification, which is what a lot of graduates do. They choose something. Oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I like this. Let me do that. And then in the middle of it, I have so many students who, in the middle of their degree, they're like, this is not what I want to do.
That's me.
This is not.
With accounting. That was me. I was like,
yeah, when you said accounting, I was a little surprised when you said accounting, but you also said, now I teach people financial literacy. And so nothing is lost. Your accounting knowledge, your accounting skills, your accounting experience, in fact, it is the driver for what you're doing now. So all you need to do is to find the common thread in your career and kind of take it as that was the foundation. Mm-hmm. And then you build from there.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome, Thando.
That made me feel good. I didn't waste my time.
No, you did not. No, you did not. And for those people who we always sometimes don't do the career we end up with is not the thing that we are doing with our life. And I always say, because my clients are mid-career professionals, they've had their degree for about 10, 15 or 20 years. They're already deep into their career and they're like, oh my God, I can't do this for the rest of my life. We have to pivot. There must be something else. And then here is where I come in. I'm not coming in to say, oh, go on social media and say this and say that. I'm coming in and say, who are you? Let's come back. What do you believe in? What are the values that you strive for? When nobody's looking, what are you interested in? What is your real passion outside of this thing? Because some people may be painting or drawing when they were 10, and then they completely forgot about it. And then when we say, what are you good at? They mention something that they're doing now when they were pretty good at drawing. So maybe drawing or creative industry, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing that will drive her. I'm not saying leave your job and go do that if that's not realistic. I'm saying, could you have a side hustle doing the thing you've always enjoyed alongside this boring job that you have? That you have to show up for because you have bills to pay. So nothing is lost. Nothing is lost. We just have to ask the right questions and come back to who we are at our core.
That's true. Your work is centered on owning your value. You speak about owning your value a lot. What are some of the roadblocks you've seen in women and in coaching women that is hard for them to, take that next step into branding? They're having their personal brand, rather.
Well, first of all, they see their value as tied up with things external of themselves. Many professionals I encounter, their value is tied up with the degree that they did, the school that they attended, the job role and the job title that they have currently. And so I've met, I give you one example. I was working with this brilliant individual looking for a job within the government sector, international organizations. And I said, so first he sent me his resume, which is very impressive, just very impressive, as you can imagine, somebody who works in the international system. And I said, so tell me about yourself. What value do you think you bring to the table? And he started by telling me he has had 30 years of experience. And then he told me that he went to Harvard. And I said, well, everybody that's you have also gone to Harvard. I actually don't know many people out in the international system that have gone anywhere else. Or in politics, they tend to gravitate towards this institution. What is it that you bring to the table? If 10 Harvard people were right here looking for the same job, what would you tell me? And he started again with his experience. I said, they all have the same experience. They're all top tier. They all have the same experience. What do you bring to the table? And so the challenge with owning your value is not to see your value as any external marker. Your value can't be how many likes you have. Otherwise, you're going to be depressed. I have college students depressed if they used to get 200 likes. And if they get 100, they pull down the post. Because as I said to one student, I have 9 likes. The highest likes I get is 9. And they're laughing. They find it so funny. And they're like, Professor, I tell you not to post at 8 o'clock in the morning. Nobody cares. I said, well, that's the time I have time to post it. So I am not caught up. I understand the value of in my business for people to see my work, to hire me, but I've decided that there must be other direct strategies rather than so I put out stuff just for visibility, not to equate my value on likes and following. So that's number one. You can't equate your value with that. You also can't equate your value with your credentials. I know in where I live in America, African Americans love say on threads, you see it a lot. How many degrees you have? Drop your degree and tell me how many. And so they're saying African Americans are the most educated. I disagree. They're the most schooled. They're the most schooled because we've gone to school to acquire all of these degrees. And when we're coming from minority environments and given our histories, our parents tell us that we should get a job in the professions, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a professor, whatever else, because they felt, and bless them, because they didn't know any better. They wanted us to have that first weapon, have a degree, get a job, and you'll have a salary, and then you'll rise out of poverty because we didn't get that opportunity. And so I understand it. Where we are now in a fiercely competitive business environment, we cannot measure our value on that because it's so competitive. Everybody has a following. Everybody has likes. Everybody has a YouTube channel, a Substack page, a LinkedIn page, an Instagram page. Everybody has a degree. Everybody has a certification. Everybody has some big fancy title that they can give themselves, whether it's true or not. So that is not your value. So I'd love for your audience and anybody listening to measure your value with who you are first of all. Who are you at your core? These are human skills. Are you somebody that they can rely on? And put that on your resume as well. Don't just tell us what degree and what job, how many, this is what I did at the other job. And it's not about describing what you did. That's just the job responsibility. You have to show what impact you have made. What result did you get from teaching 10 women financial literacy? What was the outcome? Tell me about the outcome. Because the outcome tells me more about your value than the role itself. I wonder if that is answering your question, if you're understanding what I'm saying.
No, it's definitely answering my question and some other couple questions I had about key strategies that you speak about. And I'm also thinking as you're talking, the outcome that I've come from, and I'm like, oh, I need to go sit down with myself.
Or with me for a personal branding session.
Or with you. Yes, with you. What's one thing you wish someone told you earlier in your leadership journey?
Can't talk to you right now, mother.
That's okay.
Call her right back. I know the best advice I got was when I was going through that confusion after my PhD. I had the highest qualification, a PhD that one could get. And you'd think that because I thought this was the weapon, now this was the opportunity, my life would open up, I'll have a better salary, I'll be successful. And then here I was confused. And I remember my doctoral supervisor, I don't even know if she remembers saying this to me. She said, you need to find a room or a space to become an expert in your field. And that set off a light bulb for me because she didn't assume I was an expert. I had to build that, even with a PhD. You need to create the space to become an expert in your field. And so I needed that space. She also said surrender, because I was so miserable where I was, and I enjoyed New Zealand very much, but I was busy comparing it to Jamaica. And so I was missing the moment. And so now I will tell people surrender, because this is the position you're in right now. This is your base. You can't be miserable that this is not happening, but this is your base. This is your jump off point. Where can you pivot from here? What first step can you take right now to get you to the other rung? And if somebody were to tell me an advice, I would say, let me figure out myself first, and then find the industry and the career that I can ground myself in, and I feel fulfillment. I feel that I have purpose. Mm-hmm. I feel I am serving. I'm low pay, but I still feel I'm adding value. And I enjoyed journalism immensely. I would still do journalism. But if I had the benefit of this self-reflection and this self-awareness, oh my God, I would have learned sales, number one. How to sell myself. How to even communicate my value. They taught us some skills. They didn't teach us how to communicate our value. And that's what I would have done. Define the value, own it, embody it, and then learn how to communicate it in an effective way.
That's so powerful. What's next for you and your mission of communicating your value and teaching others to do it?
My general mission is to get everybody to own their value. And when I say own it, don't define it and then leave it in the notebook that we work on together, but embody it. Because I would say to somebody, what I would ask them a question based on what we just talked about, and they go back to the old thing. But so they haven't owned it, they have not internalized some of the new things we're talking about. If I say that, oh, you're an empathetic person, how does empathy help you to lead in the workplace? How does it help you to be good with your team? How does it help you to resolve this problem with your team? And they're stuck, but you shouldn't be stuck, because we just talked about how to make empathy mobile. It's not, what do you call that energy stored up? It's not potential. You literally have empathy. So how do you make it kinetic energy? How do you make sure that you are leading from a place of empathy? So my mission is to get everybody to come from a brand-centered place, not a social media-centered place, but a brand-centered focus. If we're working on public speaking, how do we build your credibility? We have to start from the inside. If we're talking about leadership and leadership development, who are you as a person? Because who you are as a person shows up in how you lead. If you're going to be kind, if you're going to be authoritarian, if you're going to be mean, it tells me a lot about who you are by the way that you lead. And if we're talking about personal branding, we're not starting on social media. We're starting on with yourself. So my entire mission and what's next for me is to make sure that I live my life through my own values, and to make sure that I build this this movement around. So everything I'm doing, I'm working on my promotion folder from my college as a full professor. And they ask you to write your teaching philosophy, and I resent having to justify myself to any employer. So my mission is to be self-employed fully. But while I'm doing it, Thando, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it is such a good reflective exercise, because it's giving me an opportunity to say, what is your teaching philosophy? And I began with, teaching for me is an act of self-leadership. And I just showed why personal branding is so important in the way I teach, in the way that I want students to know their value, and not just the subject matter that we're teaching, and how that will help them to become better citizens, better employees, or whatever else that they can do in their life. So that's my life's mission. I feel like that's my purpose, and I'm so glad I found it. It took me a few years to peel away the layers to come to a clear vision of what I'm meant to do. So I offer clarity. That's what I do. I offer clarity to people. I clear the cobwebs.
And thank you for offering clarity to me and to
you are welcome
in this conversation. Where can we find you, and if we want to connect with you and anyone else who wants to have you help them?
Are people on Substack these days? Because I'm on Substack and I'm thinking it's the best thing since sliced bread. Really? I'm so glad. No, I just found it. And I'm literally thinking of leaving LinkedIn, leaving Thread, and just being here. You should check it out.
I'm checking it out.
When we finish with this conversation, you open a Substack account.
I will.
You can find me. I am Dr. Hume Johnson, DrHumeJohnson on Instagram. I'm Dr. Hume Johnson on LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Hume Johnson on Threads. I'm Hume Johnson on Substack. Check out Substack, folks. Trust me. Trust me on Substack. People actually listen to your ideas. Over LinkedIn, I feel like LinkedIn is just a condescending, elitist place that nobody cares. Everybody wants to just put up infographics. But I'm over there. I'm over there. I'm riding those streets over there, and that's where a lot of the professionals are there. But I realize the better ones are over in Substack. So I'm on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, and follow me on Substack, Doctor, and follow me on Instagram. And I put a lot of my videos on Instagram. I am Dr. Hume on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm really trying to build my YouTube channel. It's DrHume on YouTube. So I'm basically my name everywhere.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hume, and thank you for this insightful conversation. I learned so much from it, and I know a lot of people will as well.
Absolutely. And whenever you are ready, I would say, my darling Thando, let's have a conversation. Or if you want to gather a few of your friends and y'all do a nice little 1 hour workshop together, happy to discount it for my South African sisters and brothers. So let's talk so that we can flesh out what you're doing, so we can have it a little bit more resonant to what you're doing in particular. I'd love to work with you.
Thank you so much for that. I definitely will. Thank you.
All right, my darling.